I was going to see if it
It's funny
freezes.
how quickly you moved to be in that.
Yeah.
You moved
Moved
fast
it.
to get that
Did you
cup
see that?
where.
See if you can guess what movie this is from. Drip, drip, drip. Not yet. Gotta keep going until you get it.
Mark Wahlberg?
Oh no.
Hold on. I know what you're doing, but I can't think.
Hint, they're in prison. Drip,
Shawshank
drip.
Redemption.
No.
Tell me.
Count of Monte Cristo. That movie will change your life.
Hey,
if you haven't
Natalie.
seen it.
Thanks for saving the day. and
Hey,
time.
Natalie. We're sitting on the back porch sweating it out. Look who I got drinking iced coffee tonight.
It is.
Mia Sposa. That's
It's
right.
eventually just too hot.
It's just too hot. Hey, Sam Brown. So,
Hello.
yeah, man, you had a good day today?
I did. I had a great day.
Teach a little school?
Taught some algebra. Had a little silent reading. Which my
Did you
class,
silently read algebra?
100%. No, nobody reads algebra. That would be lame.
No, we're doing.
Come on.
Come on. We have standards.
No,
We're
but
not
my
weird.
entire class read silently the whole time. I was very
Shantae.
proud of them. And took a picture and sent it to the assistant principal. We were so proud of ourselves.
Now we're talking. That'll preach right there. Good job, babe.
We're nerds. I am.
Mel
They're
C.
just in my
Carolyn. Hey, praying for you, Carolyn. Got that
hope
message, girl.
Hope you feel better.
Hang in there. We've got them. We've got them. Morgan County is getting through this thing. So,
Yeah.
thankful for you. Carolyn, thanks for watching us. Mel C. Dub, glad you're here. Hope your day went well.
I heard James
Back
was
at it.
back at it today.
Oh,
That's
mercy.
what my kids told
Come
me.
on. That's right. My kids said they're, well, it depends on which class you're in. Don't want to jinx anything. Their classes are almost full today.
All,
so.
well, we were hit hard. Our entire family was, all of our classes were hit hard for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they were.
For a couple of weeks. And now we're all running full. We're
I have
getting
this
text
beautiful
messages.
couple that really wants to get married so badly, and I agreed to marry them, which I love, and I'm excited about it. But I've been telling them that I, require a couple pre-marriage counseling sessions, which they can't do unless. I'm sorry, Cronin.
Don't
I
worry.
will. Molly,
He
it's
will
going to
get
happen.
it done.
We're going to knock
He
it out. The
always
next
does.
one. Happy Wedding Nest Day, Sandra. I interrupted
We
you,
should
baby.
probably just do it all in one long thing now.
That's what we're going to have to. We're running out of daylight. Not here, though. It's a little humid outside. Has anyone lived
Okay.
somewhere other than here? Because this is normal for me. Like this
Humidity?
atmosphere,
I
humidity.
feel like you're going to spill coffee on my Bible. This is the second time that's happened.
It's because you sit so close to me.
My Ecclesiastes has coffee stains in it. It's going to be your fault.
There's a time for this. Laura Hurley, glad you're on here.
Laura.
Laura, I think I'll be seeing you and a few other of our folk tomorrow night at sometime as we do our open house for our
Yay.
virtual school. Excited
Virtual
about that.
school.
Excited about a lot of things that are coming up, y'all.
Does everybody know about the dividers? Because that's my favorite thing.
Shout out to Tommy McFarland, who's probably watching now or
Thanks,
soon.
Mr. Tommy, for making those dividers for
He has
our
made
kids.
plexiglass
You need
dividers for our
plexiglass.
kids.
He's your man.
It's amazing. If you need plexiglass
Any
dividers
glass. All the glass.
or a 1,000,000 square foot building glassed, Tommy's your guy for real.
If you want to install all the glass in Amazon,
Very excited.
he's the man to call.
For real, Tommy, he's a great man. Really thankful for that. So this coming Sunday is church. We'll have services at 9 and 11, both campuses. Monday's Labor Day. Have fun, cooking out, doing whatever you do. Camping, I don't know, whatever it is. And then Tuesday is an exciting day because that's when our virtual school opens up. We have 15 kids that are going to be in the building from 7:20 in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Fully staffed. Leanne's running with
Very
us.
exciting.
Danny and Jeff have been charged with just being on the property and
That's
hanging out.
probably best.
I've got that down.
I thought y'all were going to
It's-
be like lunch entertainment.
We're going to be lunch ladies / recess workers.
Not lunch, ladies. They're not
Not-
serving food.
We're
The
not that
food
kind of church.
is not
We
enough.
are. We'll have a good time.
Don't get the wrong idea.
Don't. We got the building looking good. Leanne's got all set up for
They're
tomorrow night.
basically just entertainment.
It's true. It's true. Nothing crazy.
It's not bad
Chrissy
to be
West, glad
the
you're here
one
tonight.
that's entertaining.
Yes, that'll
an
be
easy
starting
job.
Tuesday during the day.
pretending
And then Tuesday, I wasn't pretending anything. I was thinking, that's how my brain was working. Hey, neighbor.
For a second, I thought you were pretending to be frozen like you do sometimes.
No,
Like,
that was
am I
real.
supposed to
That was
freeze
really
too?
my brain catching up to everything else.
It's like
Tuesday
low
evening.
buffering.
So we're all on September the 8th here. All right. Tuesday, September 8th in the morning, school all day. In the evening, men's group led by Lim Durden start makeup. Come on, Lim.
You guys are getting a front row seat into the calendar
Bam!
in Danny's mind.
That's how we do things. We're making it happen. So I'm excited about that one.
is how we plan our
Tuesday's going to be a
weeks
busy
also.
day. And then this is a fun one.
Jeff will bring
Jeff.
the hairnets.
I'll bring the
bet he
sloppy
will.
joes, Jeffrey. We'll sing a song. My best
man.
friend. It's a good time. Me and Jeffrey are having a
Are
great
you
time.
also the school nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
We'll put a Band-Aid on it.
Bus drivers?
That's Kelly. It is though. Kelly Curtis,
Kelly
our bus
is
driver.
bringing a carload of people from Newton County.
The things we do for the kingdom / sanity to keep everything going. So it's going to be great. I'm excited
sorry,
about
Kelly.
it.
That's,
Thankful for you.
I mean, it's sweet and hilarious at the same time.
Kevin,
I have
hey
to
buddy.
say,
Glad you're on tonight, man.
Can we just say that bus driving, I have the most respect for bus drivers.
Yeah.
They don't get enough credit for what they do. They have to keep those kids safe, and
Miss Rollins, you know.
Miss Rollins
that was my
knows, get a
favorite.
parachute.
That game will change your life.
The
Did you ever do that
parachute
back in
is,
the day?
oh yeah.
Up,
We
under.
were in the 90s. Everybody did the parachute.
Oh, loved it.
Do they still?
Parachute and
Is that still?
popsicle
I'm sure.
sticks when you walk around the
I'm
track.
Sure, it's still a thing.
I love it. If it's not, it needs to be. Miss Rollins
We
knows.
actually do have a parachute. Did you know we have a parachute?
No.
It's in. Well, it was in the youth room. I don't know now. Now that the youth room's under construction.
It is, y'all. We're making progress. Don't tell
Anyone.
But yeah, we're going to be going to that youth room pretty soon.
There
gonna be
was a 15-foot parachute in there
Really?
at one point. I can't say when.
Huh. We'll look for it.
I'm sure
I'll look
it's
for it.
probably in storage.
I'm excited. Let's see, you know. It probably is in storage somewhere.
I'm laughing because there is a real storage unit at Harmony campus that just sort of accumulates every odd and
does.
end. It probably really is in there.
Random. We'll find it one day.
We
Until
might have
then,
to find one.
we'll
That's
do
a great
popsicle sticks.
suggestion.
That is a great suggestion, Ms. Rollins. So yeah, we're looking forward to that one. What else was there? Oh, and then Sunday. Daniel Harrell lookalike.
You are little Danny tonight.
It's just happening all over again. My childhood.
When I
We
met
lived out.
Danny, everybody called him Little Danny.
They say
A
out
bunch
things
of people
like, well,
called him
Danny's
Little
knee high
Danny.
to a grasshopper. I've known since he was knee high to a duck. Do ducks have knees?
Oh,
Do grasshoppers have knees?
I think
Anyways,
that's the point.
Miss Cindy, I'm glad you're watching tonight. Oh, mercy. Okay, so I'm praying for the Kennedy family. Jesse, can I share that? Let me know if you want me to share. Just we'll keep it. What did they say in youth group back in the day? An anonymous prayer,
Unspoken.
unspoken for real. We're praying for the Kennedys. As he's typing in that one, Justin, if you're game for me sharing that book. Also want to let you know that this coming Sunday is services at church. Next Sunday, quick change of plans. We sent out a text and an email to the church today. We are going to be saying that we're going to have a church picnic, and we were going to have one service. Everybody's going to meet at the lake area for the picnic. We've kind of changed it
Always
up
fun.
quite a bit. Instead of doing that, so that's going to be Sunday, September 20th. This Sunday we're in the building. The next Sunday, September 20th, each campus will meet in their buildings at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock services. After those services conclude, everyone, as many folks that are willing, would like to, can join us, pick up a little sack lunch or something on the way, and head out to the lake for baptisms after that. Now, we have 4 folks right now being baptized on that day just from Madison campus. So just put that on your calendar.
So go to church regularly.
Go to church as normally planned.
Feed your own family.
You are responsible.
Come watch baptism.
Come watch some folks get dunked. We're dunking them at a Methodist campground. I'm just saying.
Ooh,
Whoa. Mind blown.
right? They're okay with that?
Oh, mercy. Oh, mercy.
Just kidding, Methodist.
They are
friends.
okay
They're
with
very
that. I
good.
love my Methodist friends. Dustin, bro, you still in Louisiana? Dustin sent me a picture yesterday. He was on Harold Street in Louisiana.
That's a name out there.
And my family's
It's a
from there.
common name.
For real, Dustin, what city you in? My family's from.
It's a common frill.
Louisiana.
People don't look at us weird when we're there.
They don't like, oh, they don't say that. I mean, they never said to me, but.
Here they think our name is Harrell.
Mr. Harrell? Oh, yeah, Chantel Harrell. We're all over the
Chantel
place.
Harrell.
It's
Which would be an awesome name.
it's loaded.
It's just not
Oh,
mine.
Jonathan, you would.
You
You
know
used
we
to
love
be
you.
Good grief, Jonathan. I'm Methodist, I'm Baptist, I'm
You were a
non-denominational.
little bit Methodist before.
Jonathan, I love you.
I
I'm
think
thankful for you.
we skied with the Methodists.
We did ski with the Methodists. It was a good time.
It was a good time, except for that one time that I had was it the flu?
Yeah, the bubonic plague or Corona probably 18 years ago.
Oh, it was awful. So we rented a chalet for all the youth groups except for ours.
Chalets sound wonderful if you're there with your spouse only,
It does.
or maybe a few other
If
couples
you
that
rent
are your
a
age.
huge house on the side of a ski
Jonathan,
slope
you were
for
there.
100 people, except for your group, because your group is saving money. Is that what we did?
I was stupid. I don't know.
We were saving money, and so we stayed 20 minutes away. So we would get on a bus
We
at
did.
7 o'clock in the morning in our
We did.
ski gear, drive to the other youth groups
Crazy.
that were on the slope.
They would ski in
and
like
then,
for a movie.
yeah, the ski in. And then
the Hallmark
everybody
Channel.
would ski for 14 hours all day, and then we would load up after dark in our nasty ski gear that
Head
smells
back.
like sweaty socks and
That's right.
ride back to drop the girls in their cabin,
That's
and
right.
then the boys at the other side of the creation. I don't know.
Other side of creation.
And I was the only girl chaperone that year in our group, and I caught some
It was
sort
terrible.
of sickness.
This
I
isn't
don't know
recent.
what it
This is a few years
was.
ago.
It was
It's
so
true.
long. And so I would ride the bus in the morning to the other house where we didn't know anybody, and I was
Did you
sick.
sleep during the day? And that kid
I
was
was
in there?
I was in like a bunk room, and I was just tucked away in the corner. And you had all the kids on the slopes,
Yeah.
all the girls, boys, everybody was skiing with Danny. And I was like, I don't care, just don't break anything.
We
I
had
can't help you.
we had a
I
homeless.
cared, I
This is
just
true
didn't
story.
watch you.
We had an actual homeless girl on that trip with us. Remember?
did.
And
She-
we paid for. I mean, for real. The church was like, man, we got this. We're gonna love her like the love of Jesus. The first 30 seconds, she fell down and
She-
almost broke her leg, and I thought we're
She
getting sued.
snapped her ski
The-
in place.
the church is
and
over.
fell and hurt herself right
That's
then.
right. That's right.
It was
All
a
right.
good week, really.
Good week.
It was
Good
a great week. People kept trying to give me like home remedies for the flu,
Yeah.
and I was just like, please
Lawn youth group
take
trip.
me home.
So
was
those
good
are
times.
some
Jonathan
exciting
was
things
there.
coming up. Jonathan was there. As you've seen on here, if you would, we have a couple people watching. The Kelly family, some of my neighbors and very, very good friends, be in prayer for the Kelly family and their health, just as so many others in our community. Be praying for the Kellys. Feel free, if you're up for it, just write on Kevin's name if you scroll down in the comments. And
Jonathan said, "LOL."
you
I
did
helped
help carry
carry
that girl.
up the
Thanks,
slope.
Jonathan. Means a lot.
Oh,
But be praying for the
fun.
Kellys. You can even comment below and say, Kevin, we're praying for you. As well as the Kennedy, Justin Kennedy's dad. Found some, got some medical news today, and they're just trying to decide, we've all been through those things. We can hear a report from a doctor and go, that is not what we were thinking. But if you would, and Justin's on here as well, be praying for Justin if you would. I'd like to, we can do it here and at church on Sunday. We'll do both. Officially,
your lead.
since there's 16 of us on here now, welcome Justin Kennedy
Oh,
on board,
yes.
on staff at the church.
Yay.
He is our, Justin, come up with
What's
that
the
fancy
title?
title. Our,
I like that you're winging this. This is great.
it's not IT, it's, he has a really cool title. He texted it to me with a job description. We have the whole thing mapped out. But all
Justin,
of
you
our
better
online
quick
services,
Say what the title is.
online community director, as we continue. So some of you have reached out to me and let me know, for very good reason, y'all, that even into the near future, I talked to a couple the other day, and they said, they might not be back before Christmas in the building for
That's
health
fine.
concerns.
Mhm,
And we
that's
want you to
understandable.
know we 100% support that. And we are doing everything we can at Lake Point to ensure online services. So one of the things that we're doing is, we're taking a step. We're asking Justin to come on and to make sure that goes very smoothly at both campuses. So if you or someone you know is having any difficulty viewing the online service or reaching out to that, let me know and let Justin know. We're coming up with some really cool ideas that are going to even streamline this process even more and even
gonna
make
be
it
great.
more smooth. So I'm very, very thankful for Justin, and we are praying for your dad tonight, buddy.
Definitely. I was excited for all the things that Justin, I read that too, all the things that Justin was bringing before COVID happened, and now it's such a great
Now it's official.
time to really
Yeah.
solidify that part
Really,
of our church.
really pouring this, and yep, that's right, because we know this is what we're going to be doing. At Lake Point, we're going to do it forever. We're just going to continue, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful for you, Justin. Trying to think. Oh, okay. Let me give a shout out before we continue into Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes
You're
3.
giving a shout out
Yeah.
to Ecclesiastes?
No,
Oh.
Solomon's dead, but he is. It's true. It's factual. It's history. It's historical.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
I want to thank
not following.
Miss Linda Ramey
Oh, yes.
for changing my life
Miss
today.
Linda. If you have not had authentic
Life change.
jambalaya
Shrimp jambalaya.
and potato salad
Life change.
and pork chops for your kids in case the jambalaya is too spicy.
Because jambalaya, she's
I'm
spicy.
laughing because Nelly said salt.
It's true. Yes, thank you, Natalie. You agree. She's dead. And skinned
she's
and like
saying in support of you. I think she's
cucumbers,
just like-
like all the whole thing.
The whole
It's
meal.
legitimate.
Thank you, Miss
Miss
Linda.
Linda, it was exceptional.
We should be cooking
And I
for
have
you,
some
and you are cooking
left
for
over
us.
for my lunch tomorrow. Just
My
enough.
lunch too. We're gonna fight over it. That shrimp jambalaya is coming to school with me. I've already told my coworkers about it. It's coming.
We'll see.
It
You
was
told
delicious.
your coworkers.
Yes, I told them today. I said, "You will not believe." We told
Jeff, if you're watching, I told you yesterday. We'll figure it out. Miss Linda, for real though, exceptional.
Hi,
so
Miss
sweet.
Shanna.
Miss Shanna. Good to see you.
You know what?
together
I tell
in
you
that
what.
tonight.
Whoever gets up earliest in the morning can have it.
Done.
Okay.
Let's turn
That's
in
a
our
deal.
Bibles.
That's a
if you
deal.
would.
I'm
If you
gonna
know what's happening
win.
there.
I'm gonna win.
We don't play in our house. We're kind of serious. I'm trying to think anything else I have. I think that's everything. I think
I think we've
like,
been to the
what
mental
time is it?
calendar. We've
3:30 or something?
reminisced about ski trips. I think we're good. We've covered all the bases.
All right, we're up to 19. Here we go. Opening the Bibles. We're going to drop that number. We're going
Danny
to
likes
see.
to keep a tabs on you guys.
It does.
It's
It'll be at 12
personally
soon.
offensive if
It'll
you
be at
believe.
12 soon. It's okay. This idea, we've been preaching through Ecclesiastes on Sunday mornings. If you have a Bible or a device that has the Bible on it, open it up to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. We're going to read through verses 1 through 8 and just share our thoughts on them. I've got a couple. Man, this is some powerful. Am I leaning a little bit this way?
A little bit, yeah. I had to do my coffee over here. You can do it.
Powerful poetry here. Solomon's really hitting on some good stuff. We've been talking, if you haven't been able to join us on Sunday mornings, the book of Ecclesiastes was written by a king. His name is Solomon. His dad was David and Goliath kind of David, the king. And he wrote a lot. He wrote Proverbs in a really good time in his life when he was feeling the wisdom and everything was working. He wrote Song of Solomon when he was in love like 1,000 times with all the wives that he had and lots of things going on. But then he wrote Ecclesiastes actually in the difficult time of his life where he's looking around saying, what's the point of everything? You know, why are we doing any of this? Really a deep, almost like his journal, almost like his own diary. So tonight, I think he does a good job of really summarizing how he's just like, what is the point? I mean, everything in life.
Very philosophical.
Very philosophical. And to me, and I'll share this before we start reading it, as you read through it or hear these words, I almost feel like he's saying, nothing is in our control. You know, everything is out of our hands. Everything. We're just kind of along for the ride. So anyway, that's what I got.
I'm a little distracted. We're about to be interrupted. I can't decide. It might just be the dog. Yep.
Oh well.
Oh,
It's the Big
and
Kahuna.
a
He's wearing a
child.
shirt that says Big Kahuna, which is adorable.
Hey, bud. What you doing? Oh.
Oh, buddy.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Daddy. We'll be.
All right. Daniel, you go get some, just go take a break from Cooper, all right?
Go get some tissue.
Nathan, one of our children and the best friend, had a difficult encounter. Don't call
He's not bleeding.
animal control. His blood drips down his leg. He's not bleeding. He's fine.
Lukey can get you
Hey,
a
we're
wet
going to
paper
work on
towel.
this for a little bit. Is that cool?
Okay, you can go
We're
back
talking
in.
to some people right now. You want to go inside for a little bit? I'll get you a paper towel in a little
check it
bit.
out in
Go
just
sit
a
on the
minute.
couch, all right?
Everybody's like, we'll just
We're
wait.
leaving.
It's
They're
cool.
dropping like
It's
flies.
cool. All right, go inside. Lukey can get you a wet paper towel.
Thanks, son.
He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that. So sorry.
And we're back. Almost. You got to turn that handle first. You got to turn it. Turn it and push.
And this interruption
wow.
brought to you by our children.
We're a real family.
It's real.
It's real. Oh!
Oh, okay.
All right, so if you got your Bibles, open to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, as Solomon writes these words. He says, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Pretty philosophical, but also very true. Like, there's a time for everything. Jeff and I were talking just the other day about one of his lines in here that says, there's nothing new under the sun. Like, everything that is happening now has kind of been going on for a while. Just different people experiencing it. Let me jump in there.
Go for it.
Here we go. He says, there is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. So you see, he's kind of covering the bases here. I read this. I did take notes. It's been a long time, so I wrote a note down. Just one little short note, though. One of the things I was reading about this, just the type of literature this is, just like what's happening here. It's actually called a merism, which is a literary device highlighting the totality of something by indicating its two extremes and everything in between. So what he's doing here is he's saying, like, you're born and then you die. What usually doesn't happen in a very quick period of time. But he's saying, like, this, it's almost like bookends. That's what I think I said on Sunday. It's like two bookends and all the books in the middle. And we're stuck, like we're in the middle, according to how Solomon's viewing this. Any of those three?
It's like he's boiling down everything into black and white, like all or nothing.
Yeah.
And like that's really similar to the bookend thought. It's not that your whole life doesn't just amount to being born and dying, but it is everything in between those two things.
Yeah.
So he's just sort of talking about one extreme to the other.
That's right.
In all of these.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. We're going to just keep reading through each of these verses, but this is just me here. I feel like every generation at some point has to identify with each of these things that are happening. But it can be comforting, but also depressing to think, man, every generation that's ever lived have experienced these same things. And that's where Solomon is. So verse 3, a time to kill, time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. There's a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. One of the things I read about that verse this week was talking about how in times of war, they would actually, one of the acts of war in Solomon's days were to go through and they would plumage, like destroy the fields of the local farmers. And one of the ways they would do that would be by adding lots of rocks and boulders. They would do everything they could to mess up the soil. The flip side of that is there's a time to clear stones away, to cast away stones, which is when you're preparing a field to be planted. So kind of, anyway, just an interesting thought there. All right, good.
Sorry, I've never heard that.
A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. With each of these, I don't know. When it comes to the embracing and refraining from embracing, I think that can apply to a lot of areas of our life. In close relationships, like husbands and wives and kids, and also like with different people groups, as people go through different seasons of like, man, we're getting along, we're not getting along. Things go up, things go back down.
Well, I think also there's certain times where you have to take an account of what are the things that you are embracing or the people that you're letting into your life that are pouring into you, and then what are the people that you need to maybe keep from pouring into you. So every single person in the world doesn't have to be somebody that you're welcoming in as an influencer. You're embracing every single thing. So there will be times where you realize, okay, this relationship is not healthy for me at this time. So that's a time to refrain from embracing something or someone. I think, he's not specific to people, but I think definitely people fall in that category. But also, you can embrace a lifestyle or not. You can embrace healthy habits or unhealthy, depending on. And so he's saying there's a time to sort of get into that and decide, is this something that I need to encourage in my life or discourage?
Right.
So, bye-bye. We're being officially.
I'm not laughing. Children are a gift from the Lord. But there's a time to spank them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, stop.
Time
Go.
for love and a time for
Go.
discipline.
Woo, mercy.
A time to gain and a time to lose.
Yep.
A time to keep and a time to throw away. That seems like an important one just because sometimes it's hard to know what things you should hang on to. Sometimes even literally the things that you try to keep and remember and have all these things that they're important to you, and then there's definitely a time where you're like, you know what, this is too much. We're holding on to too many things. So
And that's what this one says. And I like to be positive, y'all. Like, I enjoy positive preaching. I enjoy letting people feel encouraged. But Solomon's pretty sad when he's writing these things. I mean, so my version says in verse 6, there's a time to seek and a time to lose. That's a sad thought, of saying like, man, sometimes you're going to seek and find. Sometimes you're going to seek and lose. Like, sometimes we don't always gain what we're seeking. Sometimes you go, and that has gone in a different direction, or that has passed into a different light. Time to keep and a time to cast away. To me, I don't know. Solomon had a few kids, I'm guessing, with all those wives and concubines.
Sure.
I'm not saying we're going to cast our kids away, even when they're banging on the door behind us. But as a lot of you know, in the last couple of weeks, a lot of our families have dropped kids off at college, and now they're hoping they're going to stay at college with everything that's going on, or getting ready to go back next semester or next year. How, even when it comes to kids, to me, like it says at the beginning, there's a time to be born, which is one of the most joyful times in somebody's life as a parent, is watch your children be born. But we know that. We got to acknowledge that. There comes a time when you got to not cast them away, but let them go out and do their own thing. You're like, all right, kids, it's time for you to you do your thing now. And I heard somebody say one time, kids are the only thing in the world, like raising children is the only thing in the world that if you do it well, they don't need you as much anymore. Like if you do your job well, they're going to be able to do things on their own. hopefully
Right.
have that friendship and want to come back. But again, I think it ties into that. Like sometimes you gotta keep some stuff. Sometimes you gotta cast some stuff away, which is it can be difficult. I don't like throwing stuff away. You know, I like holding on to stuff for a long time. But I think
It's
a lot
actually
of
what I was
us.
thinking about when I said that. You have these times in your life where you're like, we're gonna clean out the attic. Let's clean out this one closet. Let's clean out these drawers. And you start to go through all the stuff that's physically in
Yeah.
your space, and you have to really decide,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what is so emotional about that is that there's just a time where you finally say, you know what, I don't need these
Yeah.
17 shirts anymore that were from a different period of my life. I'll never wear them again. Let's give them away. But something about that is emotional, and I think that that's kind of where Solomon is in a bigger way. He's just saying there are some things that you need to part with,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
some things that you need to
Which can be
draw
hard.
in.
Like in our garage right now, I have boxes from my grandmother's room in the nursing home. I mean, that's I'm not looking for. I don't know why I haven't just sat down and gone through those, but it's almost like sometimes it makes things final. You know, when you go through stuff and say, all right, now it's officially time to set some things aside, and it's hard. That's a different. I'm glad he said writes it here when he says there's a time to cast away, not necessarily like throw out with the trash, but a time to say, okay, that time's gone now. So, and in verse 7 says a time to tear and a time to sow. I read something cool about that, but I forget what it was. A time to tear and a time to sow.
What would a time to tear be? I wonder.
Okay, I know now. I got it.
Wow,
It
you're
actually
welcome.
ties
That's
back
awesome.
in, and I don't know why I went so fast at the beginning. Like those are some deep things. I shouldn't have breezed through those, but like he says at the beginning, a time to be born, a time to die. Those are pretty. I mean, pretty simple there. Plant was planting. Time to kill, a time to heal, time to break down, time to build up. Like those are good. But then he says a time to weep and laugh, and then mourn and dance. Knowing that all of us go through times of life where we have to stop and mourn. Like mourning's not. I don't want to get too preachy here or anything. I don't think our culture mourns well. You know, I think some of us struggle with that idea of mourning because we don't want to be sad. I don't think God wants us to be sad forever. He does say, "Blessed are those who mourn, like after their own sin." But here, y'all, in Solomon's day, and even up through Jesus's day, like when they experienced hardship or sadness or even death and loss, they entered into a very traditional time of mourning. And one of the things that would actually happen during a time of mourning, symbolically, but I think there's probably healing in it,
You would
is
tear.
they would tear their clothes, like rip their clothes, as a way of showing everyone else around you, I am torn. My heart has been torn. So it says here in this verse, there's a time to tear and a time to sow. So they would actually have assigned comforters at the mourning ceremonies, at mourning services, where the people that were mourning the loss of a close loved one would tear their clothes and just sit and be. And then, at the conclusion of that, the comforters would come in and gather the pieces that have been torn and actually sew those back together, which is a beautiful
that's really
picture
sweet.
of saying, okay, we will get through this. You know, we will continue. But
I think also we associate mourning with just death, but you can mourn the loss of anything. You can mourn the ending of something that you didn't expect. So it doesn't have to be just the loss of a loved one in their life. I think that if you have an expectation that something in your life is going to go a certain way and then it changes, you can mourn the loss of the situation that you thought you had. And so that is something that, and we were all sort of saying this when we all of a sudden had to be quarantined in the very beginning of COVID. We all were home and we're losing one thing after the other, and what we thought our spring would look like and then what our summer would look like. You know, we had graduates missing graduations and all these other things. And I think we actually, as a culture, went through the process of not the full-fledged process like you've gone through a death, but we mourned a little bit of what even our traditions that we have. We're like, man, we're used to having all these things, and we had to lose all of that. And now is a time to we're starting to put some pieces of our life back in place, maybe in a better way than it was before, and that's good. But I think that there's a time to mourn something that you've lost, and then there's a time to say, okay, you know what? I've mourned this thing, and now I'm going to go on and it says the time to dance. So you're going to triumph in once you overcome that period.
And in that process, because back in verse 4, there's a time to weep, a time to laugh, and it's in the same verse with mourning and dancing. I've been surprised, especially when you're around like some good families, and we have a lot of good families at the church. A lot of us, Gracie Paint, like we've been to probably between y'all, Gracie, 1,000 funerals in your lives, But you can tell the families, I think, that I don't know. Sometimes it's interesting when you see a family that goes from weeping to laughing, just like that, and like of just like, oh my goodness, that was. It's part of that process of just going through those emotions. We don't dance a lot. I'm not much of a dancer, but so a time to tear and a time to sow. Then it says there's a time to keep silent and a time to speak. That's some good stuff.
Very true statement.
That is powerful. Jesus was really good at being silent, and he was really good at speaking. And to me, one of the greatest characteristics of him is he knew when to do each of those. You don't have to be silent all the time. You don't have to speak all the time. But to know when it's time to say, and now it's time to speak. But there is a time to keep silent. This is just me personally. I'm not a fan of silence. I've always struggled with silence. I've started doing, Dustin Weaver sent to me, it's called, what's it called? Lexio 365. It's a devotion. Anyway, I've been doing it with Dustin the last couple of days. Really good. It's on the phone. You get a free app. But it gives a period of there, not very long, but just a little period of time in there where it says, just sit and reflect for a second. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, wow, like let's get to the stuff, let's get through this, because something about the silence, I'm like, I don't know. But he says here, there's a time to keep silent. There's a time when we need to just sit and go, shh. Let's process everything that's going on. Let's pay attention to everything that's going on around us. And that's good. I think Christians are called to watch our tongues and be careful about what we say and who we say it to and all those things. But the flip side of that is, but there's also a time to speak. Like there's a time to say, enough is enough. Like I'm putting my foot down, or just address whatever's in front of you. But being aware, I think if all I do is talk, I'm not aware because I'm not silent enough to wonder, like, when do I need to say certain things to certain people, because it's just nonstop noise. But when those things are paired together, it can be good.
I think that all of these it's really neat to think about these just because they complement one another. So like being silent and being a very intentional speaker in the right times are very complementary things. So you don't think about it too often, but probably your favorite people who speak well into your life are also generally pretty silent in other times of their life. So it's not that they're just always the ones saying the smartest thing or the best thing. And like you said, it's because they know when to say what they need to say. But all of these categories they complement each other. You wouldn't appreciate laughter if you had never mourned, but the two of them together makes you so thankful that you can sit with a family in a funeral home and have sweet stories and laughter in the midst of a very sad situation. So each category, you could read through this entire passage and just be so thankful that we have both extremes, because they make, each one makes the other one better.
You're right, and without one you can't have, from the very beginning, a time to born and a time to die. Like we celebrate one. As Christians, we're called to trust and trust the Lord in both, and almost celebrate in some ways. But yeah, you're right. You can't have one without the other. That's really good. He closes out in verse 8 and says, "There's a time to love and a time to hate." Now this is difficult because I know we're not supposed to hate anybody, but Solomon was a real guy who lived a real life, and he knew the times he was hating something. Like he was tired. I mean, he was frustrated, and he was a king of a country that had lots of bad people around him, trying to do things to him and his family. Like he lived a very real life. So he knows there's a time to love and
it also
and
doesn't say you have to hate people. It just says a time to hate. I think that you can hate something about a situation without hating that person. So you can hate the behavior that a person has and still love that person.
Yeah, but I think here he's actually saying, like, no, you're going to hate people sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's saying it's good. I'm not saying Jesus wants to. I think he's saying, like, no, I've loved some people, I've hated some people. And I think he's painting that picture. But yeah, I think he hates, like, the things that cause that. But I think he's also painting out and saying, no, sometimes we're going to we are not going to get along. To me, you take a level back from that, and it's can be comforting, but to know, like, yeah, sometimes you're going to honeymoon, sometimes you're going to argue. Like
Right.
you're in it together. It doesn't change the situation. There's just different sections of it. But I think we all see that, because right underneath that it says there's a time for war and a time for peace. And I think, like you just said a minute ago, really well, that idea of like you can't have one without the other. They complement each other. They're bookends on that. And what I've seen is, it seems like if you go a really long, which is terrible, but if you go a really long time without war, people forget what war's like. You know, if you go a real long time without peace, people forget what peace is like. So he's like, no, you got both of them, and you can't just like almost like it's this.
I think too. I don't think that he's saying this is ideal that all these things happen. He's just saying you will
This
have
is
times
life.
of war. You will have
Right.
times of peace. There will be times. I don't think Solomon's saying, "Hey, this is the ideal situation." There's
He's saying
mourning,
this
there's
is
laughter,
life.
there's happiness, there's sadness. He's just saying these are all things that we deal with, and I think that's what he's struggling with when he writes this. He's just kind of like, "What's the point?
Yep.
We have to go through war,
And then peace,
and then
then
peace,
up,
happy,
and then down.
sad, death, life." So he's just really feeling, kind of like we said, he's just trying to give the whole picture of our existence, and he's really going to come around to say, why are we doing all of this?
Why are we doing all of it? What's the point of all of these things? And I think, again, I hope that all of us like enjoy going to church and reading our Bibles and believe in the Lord. God wants us to trust in Him, and that's the underlying theme. The ending thought for me is, God is in control. We are not in control. Solomon's like, I have no control over anything that's happening on this planet. God's in control. I got to trust Him. That comes later in the book. But here he's like, I have no control over anything. But at least he's being honest enough with himself to say, I have no control over these things. And it's hard. I think it's important to us to know that this made it in the Bible. Like, Solomon's doubts and questions and struggles and frustrations with the world made it in the Bible. And to me, I think it's because God wants us to see an example of, according to Scripture, the wisest man that's ever lived, aside from Jesus on the earth. And he struggled when he looked at everything going, like a tree grows and it falls down, like just over and over again. This struggle. There's a season and a time for everything under heaven. Now, at the beginning of this sermon series, we talked about how he calls himself the preacher in this book. And he says, everything I do under heaven is meaningless. All the work I do under heaven is meaningless. That's a way of picturing like the sun is up here and we are here. And he's saying everything we do here on the earth is meaningless. There is a time for everything here. We have no control here. But it's a beautiful picture of him saying, but if you get outside of that, like if you get above heaven, if you get to where God is, I mean, he's spinning this whole thing in orbit. So it's like this contrast of, hey, I don't have control, but God is in full control of everything that's going on. Yes, I like that, Tammy. You're right. Love the person, hate the action of sin. Yes, and in nowhere in scriptures it calls to hate anybody. We're not supposed to hate anyone.
I think that Solomon is just saying there is going to be time where people have hate. I don't think he's encouraging it. I think he's saying, to me, when I read this, and this has always been a hard passage for me, but just in general, I was thinking about it today. I knew we would talk about it. I feel like the closest I ever have this tone is sometimes as a mom, I say to my kids, well, sometimes life's not fair. And that's what I feel like he's saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you're mourning, sometimes you're happy. Sometimes people love you, sometimes people hate you.
Yeah.
And I feel like Solomon is just caught up in this mindset right here, and he's being very human because we don't control anything. And he has realized pretty much no matter what he does, even as a king, even with all the money and wisdom and all the things that he has access to, you're still going to have times in your life where you are not in control of the situation, and it can be all the way from one extreme to another.
Right.
And the closest I ever come to saying anything like that in my life is when I'm trying to teach our kids about the world. And there are times where I'm like, I know this is not how we want it to be, but sometimes life's just like that. And I think that that's kind of how Solomon is talking about it. Like, sometimes life has all the good things and other times all the bad things. And one extreme to the other, and we have to find out our purpose can't come from that, basically.
Yeah, right. Our purpose isn't defined in the day-to-day things.
Right.
That's exactly right. Here that even we go through, because we all will go through them. Like we're going, Yeah, I mean, I agree with Saul. I had a conversation just last week in the Washburn parking lot. An older guy, just telling me why he didn't go to church, and I had a good conversation with him because he had heard preachers when he was younger tell him that he believed a certain thing and prayed a certain way, then some people would get healed. He actually told me a very specific story of a time where a preacher was on TV and walked him through a process to have somebody get healed, and that person didn't get healed. And he said he walked away from that going, how could you not have that happen? And I told him this, and I believe this because I've been there, and Shanta's been there with me through so many of these things. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make a lot of things in this life don't make sense to me. I know Shanti and I try to live in a way that points other people to Jesus, as we all should, and try to live in a way that shines hope and light and love and peace in a world that's struggling a lot of the times. But y'all, even as Christians, we are never to get too far removed from that idea of like, but we still don't have all the answers. We don't understand why some things happen. We don't have to even like why some things happen, because we have. Shanti and I have been in circles and prayed and seen nothing short of miracles from God happen. Miracles. And I've walked away going, that was an act of God. There's no way what just happened by anything on this earth. There have been other times where we prayed and trusted God for a miracle to happen the way we thought it would happen, and we walked away and it didn't happen that way. So, and like, so it's that idea of like, why does God do some things and not do other things? Why does sometimes you have mourning, sometimes you have laughter, sometimes there's war, and I'm just rambling. I'm going to wrap it up and say it. Like, but I look around the world today and I think like some countries have been fighting a war for a long time. Like some generations, all they've ever known is war. And I'm like, Lord, my life's pretty good. Like my kids get to kick a soccer ball in the backyard. Like why is that? And Solomon's just wrestling with it. And
I think ultimately he's just saying if you sum up anyone's life, you will have all of these moments. You will have moments where you're born in, where you die, where you work hard to plant, to feed yourself, and where what you've worked hard is plucked away, where you can heal something and make it better, and where something will break. So like all these opposites, if you look at an entire life of any person, you're going to have these things happen in your life. And so what he's saying is ultimately you're going to have disappointment and you're going to have joy. You're going to have sorrow and happiness. And everybody will. And so above that, what can we say? Our purpose doesn't come from the totality of events in our life. He's just summing up like, this is it. This is what life is. And it fluctuates from good to bad, and everybody's a little bit different order or a different series of events. But in general, you'll have moments where you're laughing and moments where you're crying. And it's a very like depressing way to say it. He's like, well, this is what we boil down to. These 8 things. But it's really true. And if you find yourself really like focused on any one of these things, you just feel like it's all you can see. He's just taking a step back to say, this is our life. We have happiness and sadness, good and bad. And what are we going to do with that? We have to find our purpose outside of this summation of all these things.
Because our purpose can't come just from trying to make one of the 2 things happen all the time.
Success or failure. You can't. Right.
You'll
be disappointed.
You will never have complete peace forever and ever until we get to heaven.
And I think he had success in all these areas and was still not feeling successful, which is what the whole sermon series has been about.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
That's good, Shelley. I like that one. Y'all, it's a great passage. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. I would encourage you, as you may, to read it through again tonight. Be honest with the questions. Be honest in the times. And maybe some of you are in a time right now where you're going, man, what is the point of all of this? To me, look at all those wasps. Holy cow. There's so many. Gotta get some wasp spray. But one of the best examples of that in the Bible is a guy named John the Baptist. He actually baptized Jesus, pretty legitimate. It was his first cousin, crazy. He was there when Jesus was baptized in the water and the heavens opened up and said, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. A dove came down from heaven. He was eating locusts and honey. I mean, John was legitimate.
You said that like it was a good thing.
Oh, crazy town.
Locusts and honey is not good.
But shortly after that, like he saw it. Like when Jesus walked up, he said, this is the one I've been talking about. I'm not worthy to take his shoes off. Everything was just like ding, ding, ding. It was a time of peace, a time to be born, time to dance, time to laugh. Everything was going well. A few months later, he's arrested and put in prison. And he's actually about to be killed. It's a terrible ending for him, anyway, sad story. But he sends some of his friends to Jesus. And he says, you've got to ask him, are you really the Messiah? are you really it? Because if not, I'm struggling. I'm like, John, are you serious? You just baptized him. Of course he's the Messiah. And then he wrote to Jesus, like, help me in my unbelief. And Jesus wrote back, in Jesus' response back to John the Baptist, he says, I tell you, there's no one with greater faith in all of this world than John the Baptist. I think because John the Baptist was being real with his questions and struggles, he was saying, I don't get this. This isn't making a lot of sense to me. And Jesus, I know, but you're bringing it to him. You're staying focused on him. So I'll just encourage you. If you're struggling or you have some questions or doubts, be honest with them. Talk to the Lord about them. Talk to Shantae about them. She's a great counselor. And we'll figure this thing out.
I'll do what I can.
Got anything else, girl?
I'm good.
Anybody else have anything on there? Gloria, stay.
I was about to say, are you going to wait for them to comment? It takes a
No,
minute.
I'm not.
I did see Miss Linda come on later.
Miss Linda, if you're still watching.
She didn't live hear us talk about how
Holy
delicious
cow.
her food was. So
I'm stuffed.
thank you, Miss Linda, for
That was
dinner.
wonderful. Very, very thankful for you.
And lunch
We will see everyone very soon. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. And looking forward to our virtual school and men's group next Tuesday. If you need anything, call Shantae. That's all I got.
It's a very long, drawn
All
out
right.
farewell.
Thankful for you guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.